What's an MVP? Why should you want one? And how do you build it? In this video, I'll be answering those questions. And maybe more? Nah, just those questions. Let's go. MVP stands for Minimum Viable Product, and it is a staple in software development. Before I tell you a bunch of stuff about it, I want to show you an MVP done right. This is Dropbox. You know what Dropbox is. In fact, by now, 700 million people know what Dropbox is. If we look at their list of services, it's all to do with cloud-based file sharing and editing. 700 million people sharing and editing files made Dropbox $1.9 billion in 2022. That's a big business. But this is how they started. When they first tried to get people to buy it, they didn't even have a prototype. They just had a video. It's 2 minutes, it's pretty low budget, and all it does is explain the idea behind their product and the problem it solves. This video got over 70,000 people to sign up overnight because they understood the idea and it was a genuine solution to their problems. With all this support, the founders of Dropbox knew that it was a safe investment of their time and money, and they were right. And it was all thanks to that video. That's how you do an MVP. By the end of this video, that's what you'll be able to do as well. Harness all the stinginess inside you and use it as a weapon. Dropbox is a great case study for what an MVP is. There's a technical term for it. It's called mind. It honestly changed how I looked at MVP. Why? Because MVP, minimum viable product. It takes the minimum part, it takes the viable part, but does it take the product part? I think it does. There's no product. The founders of Dropbox approach users with 0 features built, 0 development time, and no app for users to try. But 70,000 people still said they wanted it, and most importantly, would pay for it. And that validated the idea. So it was time to start development for real. So it is an MVP, and the M stands for mind. It shows that all an MVP needs to do is to clearly demonstrate its core solution. That's it. If all it takes is a 2-minute video, then awesome. Most of us will not be that lucky, but we should still simplify as much as possible. I once remember we had a product road mapping workshop and our client wanted to put 211 features into their app. For those who don't have any reference, 211 is a lot. It's a shit ton. We ended up cutting it down to 103, which saved her about $50,000 and took 6 months off production. I could have bought a new car with that, but I didn't want to spend the extra 6 months. I'm joking. But you know what's not a joke? How founders in general always put in more than necessary, especially if it's their first time with app development. The danger is when the developers goes along with it. Maybe it's inexperience. Maybe. Just maybe, they're trying to rip you off. The truth is, what's needed is often a lot simpler, and a sign of a trustworthy developer is someone who guides you away from complicated and to simple. Why should you build an MVP first? Why should we start with a version that's cheaper, takes less time to build, and can be improved directly based on market demand? I wonder. Could it be because it's cheaper, takes less time to build, and can be improved directly based on market demand? Yes sir! Let's say your app idea will ultimately cost $100,000 and takes 2 years to fully develop. You have 2 options on how you want to do it. The first one, you give me $50,000, I start building, and you pay me the rest in 2 years when I give you your app. That's when we launch. The second option, you give me $10,000, I build an MVP, we launch it in 2 months and let users test it out. Every month, you give me another $10,000. I continuously make changes based on user feedback. In 2 years, you still get your app. Which option is objectively lower risk while also giving you a better product? The second one. Starting with an MVP gives us these benefits. Number 1, it's cheaper to start. Number 2, we launch a working product much faster. Number 3, we get to collect user feedback during development. Number 4, we can use user feedback to perfect the app. There's a saying in software development, fail fast, fail often. Basically, it means it's easier to survive a series of small mistakes than a single huge one. Let's say your app idea is a mistake. There's no shame in that. Most app ideas fail. I'd rather fail with an MVP that cost 10K and took 2 months. If I sank 100,000 and 2 years into something and it flopped, I might have to move back to my parents' house, if they let me. Also, MVP gets you to market fast. Being seen by users as the first to do something is priceless marketing you can leverage forever. Hot take. From a business perspective, if I had to choose, I would rather be the first to do something rather than be the best at it, but I'm second to do it. You can always work on being the best, but being the first is something no one can ever take from you. Look at PayPal. They're arguably not the best payment gateway anymore. I think Stripe is way better, but PayPal still enjoys the biggest slice of the market because they came first. When you're late to the market like Stripe, you have to be better than the first just to have a chance. This is kind of a tangent, nothing to do with apps, but I think it's a good example of the value of being seen as the first. The Omega Speedmaster. It's the first watch worn on the moon during the Apollo 11 lunar landing in 1969. It's now 2023 and Omega is still milking the shit out of that one event. Look at that case back. This specific watch has never been to the moon and it never will be. But because Omega was the first, this model is one of the top selling watches in history. Same with your app. If you have a choice between releasing a decent app first or releasing a better app later, go for first. So yeah, MVP all the way. How do you build an MVP? So let's say you have lots of ideas. If you're a non-tech founder, the real first step is to find a good app developer. In the meantime, it's definitely something you can work on by yourself. Grab a pen and a notebook or 5 to 6 pieces of paper. Now find a quiet place where you won't be interrupted. We're going to map out your MVP. This is what we actually do with our clients when we sit down with them so you can practice solo. This is what you're going to be working on, and if you want to be really good boy, set a timer. No more than 10 minutes for each section. These are the sections. User persona, who are your stereotypical user, their age, occupation, lifestyle, etc. Problem statements, what's a problem that's impacting their quality of life? Value proposition, what solution do you propose to provide and is it unique? Brain dump, list out every feature you think this solution will need. Everything. Prioritization, filter those features down to the bare minimum needed for the solution to work. This shouldn't take you more than an hour, and if you are serious about potentially founding an app, that's nothing. You may find at any point along the way that an idea is not feasible. Maybe there's no actual user that fits the bill. Maybe every solution you propose already exists. Congratulations, you've just failed fast. Now it's time to fail often. Every time you have an idea, do this again. You'll get better at it. It will take you half an hour to find it sucks. And there will be lots of ideas that suck. One day, you'll come across an idea that doesn't suck. You'll have an oh shit moment. This idea doesn't suck. Call your parents and tell them the good news. Call your boss and tell him to go die. Then call a developer and get to work. I can tell you this, you come to a developer after doing this much homework, they will love you. And speaking of love, there's a concept called minimum lovable product, MLP. What's a minimum lovable product? It goes one step beyond MVP with an extra requirement. Just like MVP, the MLP needs to be the solution it says it is. But an MLP must also provoke a positive emotional response from the user. So they can't just say, yes, it works. They need to say, wow, I love it. Then they start showing money into your pockets. What qualifies as a lovable experience varies from product to product. Software is a huge space. I'm gonna sound like a fanboy here. I'm not, I swear. I'm a fan of good product development. But going back to the Dropbox example, I think it's safe to call it an MLP. I can't even use the term early testers here because there was nothing to test. The early viewers, they loved it so much. They sign up to pay immediately. The M stands for minimum. Always remember that. We want to get the most results for the least amount of work. Dropbox is legendary, and I think it is the definition of minimum because it's hard to emulate. I can't see a developer getting away with something that simple with today's expectation. But there are other examples of really amazingly executed MVP. First up, Spotify. Today they have gone into millions of songs, podcasts, audiobooks, even video streaming. But their MVP was a desktop app with only one feature: music streaming and testing out price points. Look at that interface, it's so 2000s. Let me think of another example. We've all heard of how Facebook and Twitter started with really simple interfaces. I want to share something you might not have heard of. Okay, here's a really smart one. Etsy. The arts and craft online marketplace. They didn't have to build an MVP to validate the idea because someone else had already built an MVP and validated the idea for them, eBay. eBay was already a proven business model, but it wasn't perfect. It's basically a giant hypermarket, good for general stuff, terrible for niche hobbyist items. So that's what Etsy did. They looked at eBay's users' complaint and they sort of iterated a separate product to fit that demand. So Etsy is great for niche hobbyist items. And there's also Buffer, the social media publishing app. The MVP was just a landing page that the founder tweeted out, first to find out if there was a demand for their service. Once that got positive feedback, they just added on extra page to see if people would actually pay for it. There's a ton of amazing examples. This video would go on forever. The suggestions is for you to go ahead and watch my video on minimum lovable product. Some of the stuff from here will be mentioned again, so you'll get to reinforce your understanding of MVP. By the way, if you could subscribe and share this video, that would be awesome. See you there!